Click that like and subscribe button and go sign up on superchargedstocks.com and let's keep you notified. Good morning, everyone. It's Andrew from Supercharged Stocks. Today, we're going to be catching up with Cory Dias from Anfield Energy. They just finished an oversubscribed private placement back in December. And I know there's lots of changes, lots of excitement, and the stock has responded well. So definite interest. Let's find out what's happening. Good morning, it's Andrew again. Happy to have Cory Dias here from Anfield Energy. How's it going today? What's going on this Friday?
Hey, Andrew, thanks for having me on. Things are slow, quiet. There's a lot more volatility in other parts of the market, which is a good thing. It allows us to kind of, take a bit of a breath here and, wait for, the Biden administration to, get settled and prioritize its needs and wants for the coming months. So, we're eagerly anticipating, some movement related to clean energy, climate. All these things are going to help us, but we have to be patient because obviously there are other priorities that have to be addressed first.
And one of the things that is definitely optimistic is that you've finished that raise back in December. It was oversubscribed. The markets responded well. So you're getting a lot of immediate positive feedback in that direction. And it's certainly with the Biden, the expectation is, and they're very vocal about it, there is this clean and green energy push. Yeah. I don't think it's going to take too much. It's always a bit of a struggle when you're talking uranium to get retail investors behind it. But it's if you're legitimately having the conversation, we've talked about this before, then you have to be talking about that. So it's coming. I would agree. It's coming. It's just they'll maybe get some easy volleys across the floor first, and then they'll attack this one. But also, you've got the Newsboy property as well. Yeah. So what today should we be looking at? What's really kind of coming in the near future that we're waiting for?
On the uranium side, obviously, we're dealing with the U.S. administration trying to get their ducks in a row. But we're also, looking to make sure we've got our licenses and permits in place for all of our assets in the U.S. So we have everything. It's more about renewals. So it's not exciting stuff. It's more bureaucracy, more paperwork. But, we need to have these things in place, should the uranium reserve, come to pass. It's been quite good because it's allowed us to focus once again on which assets are the most appealing in the near term versus those which are longer term or maybe future cycle assets on the uranium side. Charlie, we keep talking about Charlie, but Charlie is the asset. Mm-hmm. That is the important one in the near term because that'll allow us to participate in and contribute to the reserve. And that asset has taken up a lot of our time. As for the gold, we're looking on the practical side. So we're in the process of hiring a geologist to go through all of the data that's tied to this asset. There's so much data that we need somebody to sift through it and organize it a bit more. These are all things that are necessary in order for us to really start to exploit the assets and start generating some real news.
That's why I like it, and the way I kind of look at this is that you're positioning yourself and you're like you're training and ready. You're ready, making sure that when this happens, and to me, this is going to happen. There's going to be a shift. It's happening. They're announcing it, but in what fashion and form and time frame, I'm not sure. But uranium is certainly there, and vanadium. And as a big fan of vanadium, I see this being a banner year for it. You can see with the giant deals with Schmid in Saudi Arabia with we call it the chemical arm of Saudi Aramco. They're building a giant factory that's going to rival the Dalian Chinese redox battery. Invinity out of the UK also has struck a bunch of deals with California to use their battery energy source. So this shift is happening. And I know a company here that I like that's working on a clean and green process for vanadium. And if that's true, and if it's at scale, then that changes the outlook for vanadium very quickly as well. So these, I don't feel these are too far ahead of the curve, or like I used to call them like Star Trek projects that are out in left field. These are now happening. And especially with the administration that we have right now, is that there is not only a desire, there's active measures to make these things happen. So I think it's kind of like you're like a coiled spring, just waiting and making sure when we're ready to go, we're ready to go. And as we know, just uranium on its own, when it decides to go, it can go. So
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's the great thing. I mean, I think we've got so many different avenues, and so so much potential in terms of reacting to what happens in the marketplace. We've done pretty much everything that we can do without the market intervention from the government. But certainly, we're not going to let grass grow under our feet. That's one of the things that we decided when we looked at the gold asset. We want to make sure that we have something that we can continue to do and add value to the company while we wait for kind of the administration's first steps to which we react.
yeah,
And that's one of the reasons why we like gold, is because we can be very proactive, and as we move forward to production, that is all on our time frame essentially. So looking at that asset, looking at the potential of adding to that portfolio is also something that we're actively doing. We've been showing a few properties already, but once again, we do have pretty strict criteria in terms of what we'd like to
yep,
acquire. Something with a resource, something in North America, something with a path to production at a low cost.
yep,
So very similar to what Charlie is. So the few we've looked at are missing one or two of those,
yep.
and so it's not really in our bailiwick, but certainly we continue to look for the ones that fit most or all of those criteria in order to bring them in. So I think that's also a very exciting opportunity. I think with the geologists, it also gives us an opportunity to quicken the pace of those searches and finding and dismissing or incorporating those assets. So that's a pivotal acquisition for us in terms of employees. So I think that's going to be a very exciting push for us in the next few months, and I think that's where we're going to see a lot of value coming through our own drive in the near term versus waiting for kind of government opportunities.
Now, and you touched on it briefly, the volatility in the market, and we won't talk specifically about GameSpot or any of those shenanigans and the uproar and everything, but it does highlight an interesting aspect, and we kind of touched on it a bit, and I wouldn't mind getting your kind of sense on that, is it's attracting a whole new interest into the stock market, which is a huge positive. And I don't look at them as being, you hear a lot of, kind of outlets saying these are kind of dumb, just gambling people. They're not. I know a lot of them that aren't. There's plenty of hedge fund managers in there and family offices in those Reddit all the time. So it is, and yes, there's tons of unknowledgeable people in anything, but it's bringing a whole new interest to the market, which I like, because especially this one here, this that's being memed into existence, is it's ideologically focused to some degree. Like, it's people motivated and defending a company that they like, that technically, maybe fundamentally it's not a great stock to look at.
Right.
But it then shows that that's totally legal and that's totally fine. Is that if people are motivated then to say, I believe in this and I want, say, for example, clean energy, then I need to be putting my dollars at work, and I can. So it doesn't take a lot of education or then take the next step to go, well, listen, if you guys want this clean, green future, the best way to do it is in the markets. So how do we do that? What are the companies that we should be looking at? So, there's already talk of the silver kind of short angle, which is the toe into our mining sector. Do you think there's some way that we can capitalize and garner that attention in any way, or do you see that being of any value to us?
I think so. Look, I think you've hit the nail on the head when it comes to kind of greater engagement by the general population versus just kind of the quote unquote market savvy investors. I think the difference is, though, there is kind of an active group looking to combat what they consider kind of a bad influence, like a hedge fund.
Yeah.
Creating this self-fulfilling prophecies about a company that is doing poorly and therefore should continue to do poorly. Therefore, we're going to bet against it doing well, right? So it's a very immediate response to someone, on the other side, whereas it's a bit tougher. Like, unless you find companies that are being shorted, for example, in the uranium sector, and you believe in those stories, then that's a way to kind of combat that. But I think having those people understand the sectors, once again, like you said, silver is being shorted, and why is it being shorted, and who's shorting it, and people say, well, we disagree, let's move
it. Yeah.
It may convince some people to start saying, okay, well, let's start looking at the miners and say, okay, well, why is this story so much, weaker in terms of the market perception than these other ones, and we should be investing and supporting those ones. What the hope is that you find those investors who like to look further down market and stick with it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's like Warren Buffett says, you find an inefficient market that's undervalued, which we have.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
If you're interested, then gobble it up. So my hope is that they can take the next logical step and go, okay, we believe in this thesis and we think we're doing the right thing. Well, if you do think you're doing the right thing, your video games can't be made without mining. So if it's just that you're a gamer, then just there you go. And if you're a crypto fan, you can't Bitcoin mine unless you literally mine. Is that they'll take the next step and then see, oh wow, this is a horribly inefficient market. And look at this, there's 10 cents, 20 cents. Oh my goodness. And these people will be, they have a use to return. For them, it won't be hard to take a leap and go, oh my goodness, this would go to $2. You go, yeah, it could. And it wouldn't take very much money. Because it's so inefficient and you can't plow the money in. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy to some extent. This is how some of these cycles happen. So I look at it as a great period of time to garner and grab hold and extend a time frame of investment as well, and say, listen, look at those ones that you want to. You can look at them daily, but if you look over here, you're going to be happy in 3 months, 6 months, a year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I agree, and that's the question. How quickly do they need that return or that fulfillment? And they're getting it very quickly from GameStop, for example. It's going to be kind of a 6 to 12 month return window for something like uranium. So, if they're willing to kind of say, look, let's split it, let's have some immediate, let's have some long term, I think that would be kind of the ideal. But once again, it is getting guys, now they're looking at, they're watching what the hedge funds are doing, but they're probably now understanding, well, what's really happening in the market. You
guys are sitting there right now with a number of properties and opportunities that are short-term, near-term, long-term, and you're ready to go. And that's what's exciting here. It's just a little bit more patience, but you're in the right sector, right time, in the right regions that are mining friendly, and you're poised with an oversubscribed subscription. So with a good, strong base of people, and the stock has, responded duly as well. But there's lots more room for someone to get involved here.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Cory, for checking in with us again. And we're looking forward to seeing news coming out. And certainly eyes are all peeled on Biden. And I know there's a lot of resolutions coming out in a hurry. And hopefully we'll get some resolution on the green energy, more details, more information. So thank you so much for spending time and catching up with us.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate you having me on.
Take care. Click that like and subscribe button. Go sign up on superchargedstocks.com and let's keep you notified.